We're now being joined by Matthew Yoluku. He's a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Mr. Matthew. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, quickly, Mr. Matthew, let's dissect the issue of the state police. How did you take this development from the presidency?
I think it's a local development because StarTimes is local and it must address it. It must address it on that point. So bringing the security so closer to the people, I think it will have adequate security of life and property. Because if you allow state police, one thing is certain. Members of the respective state police will be drawn from the local. And these are people who have who know all the terrain, and it will be easier for them to liaise with the local to gather intelligence that will be actionable. As against the current scenario where you may post a commissioner that does not know the terrain, that the people may not have confidence in him in the body information. But I think it's the way to go.
All right. In 2023, Mr. Matthew, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, he stated that the NPF needs about 190,000 more officers as the country is currently battling with under-policing. Now, also recall the UN's recommendation is 1 police officer to 450 citizens. So how do we ensure the same fate doesn't befall state policing if and when it is adopted?
I don't think our problem is, I agree that our police personnel, the number is not enough. So I don't think engaging more police personnel to work for as federal police will solve the problem. The major problem has to do with getting credible information, actionable intelligence from the local. Because in most cases, the locals may not be confident in the body such information. And if you are come by way of state police, don't forget that in the process of recruitment, the traditional rulers will be involved. So I think it will be all encompassing. So I don't think the issue of increasing the strength of the Nigerian police will address the current challenge we are facing. I think state police is the way to go.
All right. In your previous submission, you talked about the fact that state policing is the way to go, looking at it from the angle of the crime that are being perpetuated. They are all local. But then again, you talked about information gathering, which is also needed. But what about the place of proper funding? Because come to look at it, for a long time now, the police force have been underfunded, which has been a very major issue that has been bedeviling that particular sector. But then again, for the records, in 2023, the police system, they got about 871 billion naira as funding, which was totally a far cry as against what was required to fund the police system. And of course, trying to quote Nyesom Wike, the former governor of Rivers State, he also, laid credence to the fact that that particular funding was totally inadequate, looking at the vast nature of what is needed to be able to make the entire state, policeable. But then again, we now know that some states like Lagos can be able to carry out proper financing of the police force, given that they have a considerable amount of revenue generation as against some other states who can't. But then if you look at state policing as an issue right now that we need at this time, and now putting it side by side with proper funding, some states are battling with the issue of not being able to pay the minimum wage of 30,000 naira. Now, what do you think will become of the situation if it now becomes a general issue where every state now decides to fund the police by way of getting their own police system? Would you think that idea will be dead on arrival when they cannot even be able to pay the minimum wage of 30,000, let alone finance the police system to be able to have state policing?
You are not able to come in around the fact that this is synergy.
Say it again?
Relationship involving the picture of the government. You are not able to come in around that we need to reduce our temperature, our constitution to accommodate this.
Okay.
You are not able to come in around that when reducing the constitution to capture funding. So to that extent, I think in the wisdom of National Assembly, when they want to review the constitution, they must look at the sharing formula of national revenue. Because they are giving the state more responsibility, it more funding. So invariably, they would have looked into how to reshuffle the sharing formula of the national executive. Don't forget that at the speak, policing is in the executive legislative list. If you are putting in the concurrent list, meaning the House of Assembly can legislate on it, the National Assembly can legislate on it, definitely they have to come with challenge of funding. And in the process of removing it from executive legislative list into concurrent list, definitely it was great provision for funding. I don't think that's where we have the challenge. The major area I'm seeing challenge is the governors pushing it to National Assembly. Yes, I agree that National Assembly is one that has the responsibility to think out the Constitution. But let me quickly tell you that without the support of the governors, the National Assembly can certainly do nothing. You know, we are getting the start where National Assembly will go ahead to pass a bill. You know, you need to take it back to the state House of Assembly to have concurrence from our 27 majority of the state House of Assembly. And if the governors are not interested in that bill, the insurance they are respecting the House of Assembly not to give their concurrence. At the end of the day, the needed 25% will not be achieved, and it will, on the other side of the constitutional amendment would have been defeated. A case in hand is the issue of local government autonomy. That after the National Assembly went to the rigor of constitutional amendment, spending public fund and all that, they went to House of Assembly. We could not have 25%, we could not have 10 majority from the House of Assembly. That is because the government did not buy into it. So putting to National Assembly, I think we are looking for political solution. The governors should be the one driving it. Because if the governors are the one driving it, definitely it will stay through at the level of Senate. When it comes back to House of Assembly for concurrence, it will stay through. So let's not start understanding that it is their responsibility. We know that constitution is their responsibility. But if we start doing that and the governors want us to do it, definitely we will not be the right of the day.
All right, Mr. Matthew. So we understand that the NPF and state police collaboration is very critical. But however, we've not seen much of that when it comes to the former, collaborating with quasi-security outfits. And what I mean by that is the Amotekun, the Ebube Agu, I beg your pardon, among others. So how do we ensure a change in the narrative?
Job of securing life and property, you can see that it's enormous. It's overwhelming Nigerian police. Just as you can see from the police, I'm saying that their personnel are not adequate. But let me quickly tell you that the problem of Ateku and some other security sheet of service and state are not efficient enough. It has to do with the ability to carry arms to combat crime. You don't just go to the Nigerian Constitution if you have a security action, even if it's already a creation of an act of state House of Assembly. You need an earlier certificate from the Office of the National Security Advisor if you must procure arms to give them to pursue crime. And we're talking about 1847 and 1849 as a case may be, which you must refer to the Office of the National Security Advisor to get clearance, and even after application, you need certificate, earlier certificate to operate those arms. So for me, I think we need engagement, we need collaboration. This is a win-win situation for everybody. Because nobody, the level that is here in Nigeria, is that even when that blue no one group, if you are throwing stone in the bucket, you cannot determine who will be the victim. So for me, I think this is not the time to start looking at who is superior and who is not superior. When we are looking at how best to police the Nigerian society to get better out of it.
All right, taking it up from where you dropped off, especially when it has to do with collaboration. What is the place of traditional leaders? I'm talking about those within the local areas, community leaders, religious leaders, and of course the locals living in such areas. What is their place when it comes to ensuring the success of state policing?
To be quite honest with you, I think most of us always internally with our respective governors. And I know the governors will want to carry them along, and that's the way to go. But don't forget that these are like we are the custodian of moral of the people, and they are subject giving them open effect. So for me, I don't have fear about their road to please. I know that they are always in good standing with their respective governors. Don't forget that we have seen cases where a governor or governors with the two monarchs. That's to say that that particular monarch is not a covenant what is happening at the state level. So once we are not seeing rank on the two monarchs and state governors, it needs all the well, and when such issue arise, I think they will capture into the system.
All right, finally, Matthew, before we let you go, we understand that all of this, we're talking about all of this because we're trying to combat and win the war against banditry, insecurity, you know, kidnapping, among others. But if and when state policing kicks in, how best can the respective governments leverage this architecture to effectively combat, you know, all of this that we're trying to fight against?
Like I started by saying that all crime is local. You can understand that at the point the security agencies were saying that the kidnappers who are perpetrating crime in Abuja and some other parts of the country hibernate in the forest in Kaduna State. Perhaps the forest that was hitherto before now used by Nigerian military for training. Don't forget that the locals, even if they know that terrain, if they are not empowered by way of arms, there is virtually nothing they can do. And if we now have armed by way of common up with security arrangement like the state police, and they know the terrain, I think it will be more efficient to combat crime at that level.